Okay guys, this is our practice final. Means we're going to be having our final tomorrow, or on Thursday if you prefer, or on Friday if you want to come in on Friday. So I would suggest taking it tomorrow, even if you're not 100% feeling ready, because whenever you take it, the questions you do get right, if you want to retake it, you only have to redo the ones you did wrong. So at least you'll get, I know there's no way you're going to miss every question. Y'all are going to do good, okay? So let's go ahead and get started and look at our first couple of questions here. So our first two questions involve polynomials. It's been a while. So we are going to be simplifying the polynomials by adding or subtracting. First of all, whenever it says that we're simplifying the polynomials, all that really means is we're putting together our terms that are the same, our like terms. Means we're getting rid of unnecessary symbols, all that jazz. So our first question, is this an addition or a subtraction problem? Subtraction. So think really hard back, guys. Whenever we were adding and subtracting polynomials, what do we do if we have subtraction? Yeah, we want to get rid of that minus and turn it into a plus. Are you done for now? Oh, okay, gotcha. Sounds good. Oh, no problem. So we want to turn this into an addition problem. And to do that, we need to, step one, distribute the negative. So let's make ourselves a little guide so we remember. Step one is distribute the negative. And I want to encourage you guys, whenever you are writing on this practice final at least, be as nice and neat and clean with your writing as possible. Try to keep it organized, everything nice and lined up. It's going to make it much easier to look back at as a guide when you do take the final. So whenever I say distribute the negative, what does that mean? Yeah, we are taking this negative and we are going to put it on, we're basically multiplying here all of these terms by -1 essentially, which is going to change them either from positive to negative or negative to positive. You guys remember that? Yeah. So let's go ahead and write below here. When I get rid of the negative, it turns into a plus. And we're going to look one term at a time. I have 3x squared. What does that become? Negative 3x squared. We started with a positive. When we multiply by a negative, it becomes a negative. So I have negative 3x squared. Then I have minus 4x or negative 4x. What happens when I multiply a negative by a negative? I get a positive, a plus. So minus 4x becomes plus 4x. And guys, at any point, if you are confused about why we did a certain step, please stop me so that we can talk about it. And now at the end, we've got plus 5. What does that turn into? -5. Yeah, -5 or minus 5. And we've distributed the negative. That's it for that step, guys. Okay.
Now we combine, don't we?
Yeah. Before we combine, though, I like to keep things nice and neat. Yes, we're going to bring this one down so that they are on the same level here. Now, do we change anything in our first polynomial? No, you do not do anything there. You just rewrite it. So I've got 6x squared plus 5x plus 12 plus negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 5. So now that we have our polynomials written out, we distributed our negative, now we have an addition problem. What do we do next? Do you guys remember? Yes. Yes, we want to go ahead and put our like terms in groups. So we want to group our like terms. So this is where I would highly recommend you guys use different colors just to help you keep yourself organized. If any of you need to do that, get up and get colors. I've got tons of them over there. And let's just start by going left to right. What's my first term that I run into?
6x squared.
Good. 6x squared. So I am gonna keep that one and combine it with, where's my next x squared?
-3x squared.
Yeah, I've got a negative 3x squared. So I know that I'm gonna put those two together. So I'm gonna draw an arrow or a line connecting the two. And what's my next term?
5x.
I got 5x. And what does that one go with? 4x. Good. So I'll draw a line connecting those. Now if you can do this part in your head, that's fine. I'm not expecting you to have to draw these lines out, but I'm just kind of giving you a visual guide for a refresher. And what's our last set of terms?
12.
Yeah, I've got 12 here, and I've got -5 over here, or -5. So we've just grouped our like terms. Now we need to write out the new order of all these terms, because whenever we are grouping them, we want to put them next to each other. So let's pull them down. I've got 6x squared plus a negative 3x squared. What should I write below here to combine them?
6x squared.
Yeah, 6x squared minus 3x squared. Good. Because when you add a negative, you're just subtracting. So 6x squared minus 3x squared.
We'll get 3x squared.
We sure will. We're going to group them all first, though. Okay, so we just did that. How about our x terms? What should I put next?
5x.
Yeah, you're all right. I'll bring down that
That plus.
plus. Good. Plus 5x. Then what?
4x.
Good. Plus 4x. We're just bringing down exactly what was already above us. And last but not least, what am I writing now?
Plus 12. Minus 5.
Good. Plus 12 minus 5. All right. Before we go any further, do we have any questions at all? Does any of the steps what we've just done, any of them confusing any of you? Okay. So for step 3, we've already grouped them and we rearranged them. Step 3, we're going to combine by adding or subtracting. Our like terms. Okay. So just remember, guys, I had a couple people in my first period have a little oopsie because they were forgetting that x squared isn't really doing anything. Okay, so I want you guys to remember these are just variables. We don't know what x is. So we are not doing any squared here. We're not multiplying at this point. We're just adding the beginning numbers together in front of those variables. That's all we're doing. So for the first part, we've got our x squareds. What is 6x squared minus 3x squared? Yeah, you're just doing 6 minus 3. And that's going to be 3x squared. Do not forget your variables. Okay, and what's next?
Plus 9x.
I've got 5x plus 4x. That is 9x. So plus 9x. And And then I've got 12 minus 5. What's that? 7. Is it a positive or a negative 7? Yeah, it's a positive 7. So I'm going to write plus 7. And that is your answer, guys. So you circle it. Please circle it. It's a little easier this time around. I know, it's pretty tricky at the beginning. How you feel back there, Rhonda? Is it all coming back to you?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I think I wrote my stuff too close. I hate when I do that because I'm right there.
Yeah, I get you.
I got it lined up though, but the 3x. Let's see.
Hello. Come on in. We're doing a practice final today, so if you want to grab one, we're filling out. We are on number 1, so good timing. So you'll be able to take the final tomorrow if you feel ready for it.
The blue one.
Yes, yes. Okay. What step are you looking at?
The 3x.
Right here?
No. How you got your answer?
How I got my answer? Okay, so did you get this far, step 1, where we distributed the negative? Okay, and you feel good about getting negative 3x squared plus 4x minus 5? Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then did you group 6x squared with negative 3x squared? Okay, perfect. So when we have 6x squared plus a negative 3x squared, that's really just right under here, 6x squared minus 3x squared. Okay, or is that the part that might be confusing you? Okay, so if that confuses you, just remember this is one of our addition and subtraction rules. Let me get a sticky note to kind of explain. Okay, so whenever we are bringing our terms down, here's a better way to think of it. Let's not think of the theory behind it. Let's just think of what we're doing. So just watch real close while I point to these. When I group my like terms, see how I put the colors together for the oranges and then the purples and the dark blue? All I'm doing is bringing down the number, the variable, and whatever symbol is next to it to the left. So 6x squared, I just brought that down by itself. And 3x squared, there's a negative right next to it. So I'm just going to bring that down. So then I have 6 minus 3, basically. Okay? And then same thing here. I have plus 5x. So I brought that down here. Plus 5x. Plus 4x on the other polynomial. I brought it down. Plus 4x. Then my purples, my non-variable numbers, I have plus 12. Put that there. And minus 5. So I put that there. Okay, do you see where those came from? Does that help? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So all we did was 6 minus 3, and that gave us 3. And we just kept the variable on there.
Okay, I think it's what I wasn't paying attention to the minus.
Yes, yes. So those signs are super, super important whenever we're solving these. So, okay, good. Good, good, good. All right. So that's our answer for number 1. Right there. And guys, please ask questions if you're confused about any of these things. I want to make sure we feel okay.
Is our final going to be the same, just different numbers?
Yeah. Exact same. I kept the negatives in the same spot, the positives in the same spot. It's all going to be the same, just like a practice quiz.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at number 2. Number 2, we are also adding polynomials. This time, do we need to distribute a negative to start? No, we sure don't. So what should we do first? Yeah, let's group. Let's group our like terms. So starting left to right, I have 3x squared and what? And 4x squared. And how about this? Maybe this would make more sense. Let's write them out together as we connect them. That way we're not doing all these steps and going back and forth. So I've got 3x squared plus 4x squared. Okay, now let's go to our next terms. What comes next after 3x squared?
4x.
Yeah, I've got a plus 4x, and what's my other x?
2x.
Yeah, plus 2x. So let's go ahead and write those down below. Plus 4x plus 2x. All right, and we just have one more set of terms left. What are those?
Plus 2 minus 1.
Yeah, plus 2 and minus 1. So I'm going to bring those down just the same. Plus 2 and minus 1. Okay, I'll let you guys get that written out. So once we have all of our terms grouped together, or like terms, what do we do now? Yeah, we're just going to add them or subtract them if they tell us to. So what are we adding first?
3x squared plus 4x squared.
Yes, and what's that going to give us? 7x squared. Remember, our x squared is just the variable. We're not actually squaring anything. It's just attached to the numbers. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and bring down that x squared. Okay, what comes next? Plus 4x plus 2x, perfect, 6x. And last but not least,
Plus 1.
yeah, plus 1, because if I do 2 minus 1, I get positive 1. And that is your answer. So we circle it. Thank you. Please circle your answers, guys. There's a lot of numbers and letters over here. Make it a little easier on me to grade it. Okay. Any questions at all about that process? We feel okay about it? Okay. How you feel, Angel?
I'm when we're done, I'm gonna have to go back over one.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, once we go through every question in the final, just let me know if there's any you want me to do a little extra review on. We can absolutely do that. So let's go ahead on to the next problem on our first page. The next two problems are equations where we are just solving for n. So what are some of the things that we need to keep in mind when we are solving equations, solving for a variable? We're trying to get n by itself, absolutely. What kind of operations are we using?
We're gonna
Added, subtraction, multiply, divide.
Uh-huh, we are using addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Huh?
No, we're doing backwards.
Yes, we're doing it backwards
do
though.
minus 8 on both sides, right?
Yes, that's right. Let's make a little key out to the side just in case any of y'all need it. It'd be nice to reference when you do take your final.
What is that called? Inverse operation?
Yes, inverse operations. That just means opposite. So remember our inverse operations, we've got like addition. What's the opposite of addition? Subtraction. Multiplication. What's the opposite of that? Division, divide, good. And then what order do we do things in if there's no exceptions there, like parentheses? So left to right, good. Now, do we do addition and subtraction first or multiplication and division first?
Addition and subtraction.
Yes, remember we're doing our order of operations opposite too. So first we undo addition and subtraction. Second, we undo multiplication and division. So, Lewis, you were 100% correct on number 3. Our first step is to subtract 8.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and do that.
On both sides.
On both sides, that's right. Minus 8 on both sides.
That's important.
Eight's
You ain't
counted.
gonna know and then cancel, yeah.
Yeah. 16, 24 minus 8, that is 16.
Bring down
Yeah, bring down the equal.
-4 here.
Yes, bring down your negative 4n. Don't lose your negative.
Divide.
So now we need to divide because we have a multiplication problem. What number do we divide by?
4.
No.
Negative 4.
-4. That's alright, I'm just being hard on you guys. -4. I bet y'all knew that. Okay, -4. So, don't forget your negative rules for multiplication and division. Positive 16 divided by -4 is going to be what?
-4.
-4. Good. Any questions about number 3? Okay, good deal. Let's try 4.
Multiply on the side.
Yeah, so number 4, I've got n over 3 plus 5 is 10. And you are right, Dayana. We're going to go ahead and subtract 5 first to get rid of it from both sides.
5 cancels.
My 5s are going to cancel. Then what?
5.
Yeah, 10 minus 5, that leaves us with 5.
Bring down everything else.
Good. Bring down everything else. So I still have n over 3 equals 5. So I want to let everybody get to that point, and then we'll do the last step together. So I have n over 3 equals 5. What operation is happening when I put a number over a number? So the opposite is multiplication.
That's division.
Making that puppy dog face back there. What happens here? How would I read this? In what? 3.
Divide by 3.
Divided by 3. Good. So you had the second half right. What do we do to get rid of division? Multiply. Good. So we're going to multiply by 3 on both sides. You guys got it. So what happens?
Those 3
Cancel
cancel.
the end.
Yeah.
Cancel the three.
Yes. Cancel the 3s.
5 times 3.
5 times 3 is
15.
15. N equals 15. Good. Circle that answer.
I circled the -4, and when I got to the second one, I did the n equals. I was like, oh, I didn't do the n equals -4.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
would have got that wrong, man.
Oh, it's all right.
I'm glad I remembered though. I got it on here now.
That's good. Okay, guys, that's the first page. Any questions about that first page? We ready to go to number 2? Or page 2? Anybody still need this work? I can leave it up. Okay, let's go to the second page. We are doing 2 more equations to start off this page. These are the 2 with those exceptions to the rules where we don't add and subtract first. It's going to be just like this on your final. All right, what should I start with for number 5?
Times.
Yes, I've got n plus 4, the whole thing divided by 5. So to get rid of that, we multiply by 5
On both sides.
on both sides. For some reason, when the whole thing is over a fraction, we forget, not you guys specifically, I'm not singling anybody out, but I just have seen it before from multiple people. They forget to multiply on both sides. Gotta do it on both sides. So my
And bring the whole thing down. When we get some-
that's right. So my 5s cancel, and I'm left with what?
N plus 4
Good. N plus 4
equals 15.
equals 15. Perfect. What's next?
Minus.
Yeah, minus 4. And n equals what? 11. Good job. All right, any questions about number 5? Great. Let's do number 6. I've got 3 times the quantity -4n minus 4 is equal to 24. What do I need to do? Yeah, there's 2 options. You're right, Deanna. So I heard somebody say distribute, so you could multiply 3 times -4n and 3 times -4. What's your other option?
Divide by 3.
Yeah, you could just divide by 3. So we'll do it both ways. I'm going to put up a little sticky note. Let's do distribution first, since I've already got the arrows written. So what is 3 times negative 4n? Good. Negative 12n. And 3 times negative 4? Negative 12 again. So negative 12n minus 12. What else do I write? Equals 24. Good. Okay. Now that we've got all that, what's my next step?
Add 12.
Good. Add 12 to both sides. My negative 12 and my positive 12 cancel. And let's see, I'll go ahead and bring this down. Negative 12n equals 36. Good. Divide by, what was it? Yeah, negative 12. Good. On both sides. And my negative 12s cancel. So I'm left with n is equal to what? Negative 3. Good job, guys. Any questions about the distribution method? Okay, let's show the division method just in case we're curious. So I'm going to rewrite that problem. Negative 4n minus 4 equals 24. So we could look at this and say, well, I know I'm taking 3 times this. So the opposite of multiplication is division. I could just divide this by 3 and do that to both sides. So my 3's would cancel, and I'd be left with negative 4n minus 4 equals 24 divided by 3? 8. Good. And what would I do next?
Plus 4.
Good. Plus 4 on both sides. So that would give me 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 equals negative 4n. And last but not least, we would just divide by negative 4. And you're going to get the same answer. N equals negative 3. Both ways work. I do not care which way you do it. Okay, I'll leave that up there for just a second. Okay, you guys tell me when you're ready to move on. All right, you ready? Anybody need a little more time? Okay, let's move on to our next section of our final, is where we are talking about inequalities. So you've got 3 different inequalities. 2 are just regular single inequalities, and the third one is a compound inequality. Now, please be careful with these, because when you take your final, I do not want to see anybody just copying and pasting your graph from your practice final onto there. The symbols might not be the same, okay? Even though it's a less than or equal to here, it might be a greater than on the final. It might be something different, so please do not go into autopilot and just copy and paste. Your answer will be different, okay? So, let's start with number 7. What should I do? Yeah, we got to solve for n first, so let's distribute. 6 times 4, what's that? 24 plus 6 times n. 6n is what? How you say this? Good. Less than or equal to negative 30. Okay. Zoom in a little here for y'all. Okay, what do we do next? Yes, subtract 24 from both sides. And when you guys do this, be really careful whenever you do negative 30 minus 24. It's not the same thing as 30 minus 24. You've got 2 negative numbers here, basically. Looks like you're adding them. Negative 30 plus negative 24. What's that going to give you? Negative 54. If that confuses you, you can still type in negative 30 minus 24 in your calculator. You'll get the same thing. So I want to make sure you guys know how to get that. If we have a negative minus something, make sure that you are getting negative 54 on your calculator. Okay, my 24s, they canceled. So now I just got to bring down, yep, 6 in. What is my last step?
Divide.
Yep, I'm going to divide by 6 on both sides. And that's going to leave me with n is less than or equal to what? Negative 9. Circle your answer. Okay, before we move on to the graph, did everybody get this? Did every single step make sense? Okay, awesome. So whenever we graph an inequality, what is our very first step? Ooh, before the circle even. Yes, please write your number first, because I saw too many people that would draw their graphs and it would be perfectly graphed, but they wouldn't label it. They did not put their number. So it's silly points that you're going to lose. Put your negative 9 on there right away before you start graphing, because once you draw your circle and shade it, there's like a, yeah, you go on autopilot and you're like, oh, I shaded it, I'm done. No, put your number first. Do not forget that. Okay, now that you've labeled your number, now we can move to the circle. Yes, why is it a closed circle? Yes, it's that or equal to, that line under there that tells us that this negative 9 is included. We're going to shade it in. And what direction do we shade? To the left. We can know that less than is on the left side. It's also the direction that our symbol is pointing. It's like a little arrow. So we're going to shade to the left towards the negatives. All right. Any questions about number 7? Okay, let's move on to number 8. We ready for that? Anybody need a minute? Okay, so number 8, I have negative 3 plus 5n is what? Greater than 12. Good. You are right, though. You're right. So Lewis said plus 3. That's correct. We're going to add 3 to get rid of that negative 3. No, don't be sorry. That's good. That's good. I'm not upset. Okay, so our negative 3 and our plus 3 cancel. Next, what do I do? Yeah, let's bring it all down. I have 5 times n is greater than 15. Okay. What happens next? Yes, divide by 5. My 5s will cancel, so I'll be left with n is greater than what? 3. Good job. Now that we know n is greater than 3, what is our first step? Yes, label your tick mark with your number first. Always do that first. Just do it before you forget. Open circle. Why is it an open circle? Yeah, because it's not equal to. It's just greater than 3. We're not including 3. And what direction do we shade? To the right. If it's bigger than 3, we want to shade where the numbers get bigger. We can also look at our symbol and see that the point goes towards the plus, so we shade that way. All right, any questions on number 8? Y'all feel okay about it? Okay, good. Let's look at number 9. Same thing I'm going to mention here. Just because our practice final has an and inequality does not mean that the final will be and. I want to make sure that you guys know what the or looks like too. So if we want to go over one of those, we can. But we've got an and compound inequality here. So whenever we want to solve and graph a compound inequality, what do we really need to do first? Yeah, we need to be solving both of these and make sure that we know what our value for n is. So let's just go left to right. We'll start here with this one. We've got negative 10 plus 5n is less than or equal to 15. What's my first step?
Plus 15.
Yes, add 10 to both sides. So my 10s can cancel. Yeah, 15 plus 10 is 25. Bring everything else down. 5 times n is less than or equal to 25. Yep, now we just got to divide by 5. And my 5's cancel. So I'm left with n is less than or equal to what? 5. What'd you say, Rhonda?
I said 5.
Oh my gosh, for some reason I thought you said 30. I don't know where I heard that. It's like, I hope, I don't
Now
know.
we gotta do the other.
You're correct. Yes, so this is great. We found our n is less than or equal to 5. Do not go ahead and put 5 on the graph. Don't do that, because what if our other answer is smaller and we have to move them around? And what if you didn't write in pencil and you can't erase? We just want to get our answers first, then graph, so we know where they go. So let's look at our next inequality. I've got 5 plus 8n is greater than negative 75.
Ooh,
What do I do first?
minus 5.
Minus 5. Both sides. Here's another one where we are taking away from a negative. I'm subtracting 5 from negative 75. Yep, my 5's cancel. Yes. Perfect. Negative 75 minus 5 is negative 80. And then we want to bring it all down. I've got 8 times n is greater than negative 80. Divide by 8. My 8's will cancel. And
What is
that
that? N
is
greater than negative 10?
negative 10. Yep, that's right. N is greater than negative 10. So we've got both of our values for n. We just need to decide which one goes where
Is
on
the
our
small
graph.
one on the left?
Yes, so if you ever forget which one goes first of all, look at the little plus and minus I put over here. Anything to this direction needs to be smaller. Anything to the right needs to be bigger. So which number comes first? Negative 10. Good. And that means 5 will go second. So we got our numbers. Now what should we do?
Circle.
Yeah, let's do our circles. Negative 10, open or closed? Open. Why?
It's greater than and not equal.
Yeah, it's just greater than. It is not equal to negative 10, so we don't include it. And 5, is that open or closed? Why? Because it's equal to, so we include it. Good. Okay, now we need to decide where to shade.
N on both?
In the middle. So if we want to double check and make sure we know why we're shading in the middle, when I look at my inequality with negative 10, it says n is greater than negative 10, so I would shade to the right. N is less than or equal to 5, so I shade to the left, and those arrows are pointing to each other, so we shade in the middle. Perfect. All right. Any questions? Awesome. Ready for the next page? Yeah. Okay. Page 3. This is the newest stuff that we've been doing. So we just learned yesterday and the day before about graphs, coordinates, all that kind of good stuff. So remember, let's make a little guide off to the side. When we have a coordinate, oh, you're okay. Which value comes first, the x or the y? X. Good. So I'm going to put this off to the side. My x comes first. And which value comes second? Y. Good. And let's make sure we know which axis is our x and y axis. The one that goes left to right, is this the x-axis or the y-axis? X-axis. So I already gave you an x next to it, but I'm also going to highlight it in red because I always make my x's red. It's just the way I do it. And so which axis is the y-axis? Up and down. There's my y. And did I show you guys the trick to remembering if we ever forget? I can't remember if I did or not.
Yep.
I did. You want me to show you again just in case? Okay, I'm going to show you again in case anybody missed it. If you are ever totally in a pinch and you forget which one is the x and which one is the y, the y-axis is up and down because I could connect it like that and just make a y. I guess I could also make a really big upside down y like that. And then my x-axis, so we've got arrows off to the side like that. If I were to connect that, now I've got an x on this side and I can make an x on this side. So my y, when I draw it, there's a line that goes down. And my x can connect to the ends of that left and right arrow. Now, I'm not going to ask you to memorize it. I'm always going to label it, at least for pre-algebra. And this is the last test or quiz or exam that you will take in here. So, just a little for your information, in case you're curious how we remember. All right, so somebody explain to me, how am I going to name a coordinate? How do I look at a point and know what to write for my x and my y? Anybody remember? Want to explain it?
You what now?
How do I figure out what numbers to write in my coordinate when I'm looking at a point? So if I'm looking at A, go ahead.
What comes first?
X,
Oh.
X
I
comes
mean,
first.
X comes
Yes,
looking
yes.
at the
You're
y.
okay, you're
For
okay.
A, it's going to be 2x, 5y.
Okay, so can you explain to me how you knew that the x was 2 for A?
Because it's over to the right, 2.
Yeah, so guys, if I look at my x-axis, that's my red line here, my left to right, A goes over 1, 2. It lines up with 2 on the x-axis. So my x value for A is 2. And same thing with the y. A lines up with 5 on the y-axis. That's exactly where it is.
Up 5.
Yep, up 5. So our coordinate is 2, 5. Perfect. How about point B down here? Where does it line up on the x-axis? 5. Good. And how about the y? Where is it on the y-axis? -2. Good. And if at any point you are confused about how we get a number, please stop me. You're not going to make me upset. I want you guys to understand, and I can't help you understand if you don't tell me you're confused. Okay. How about point C? Yeah, -3 on the x-axis and 5 on the y-axis. So -3, 5 for C. How about D?
-3, -4.
Good. -3, -4. I accidentally gave you guys a bunch of -3s, so
You
sorry
did?
about that. Yeah, I did. So -3 and -4. And how about E?
-3, 2.
Good. -3, 2. Okay. Before we move on, any questions? Good? Good. Okay, awesome. right, guys.
I forgot this next part.
Yeah.
One deal though.
Uh-huh.
I got the y-intercept. It's slope.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you something easy. First of all, whenever I showed you about slope yesterday, I didn't give you any whole numbers. So that's probably what's throwing you off. So let me explain it to you. Anybody still need this? 10 to 14? Okay. So the next question you have, and this is the last question that will get graded. Everything else is bonus. I'm giving you a linear equation. That means that if I use this equation, I can draw a straight line with it. So what I need you to do is identify the slope and the y-intercept. Sounds really scary. It's not though. Let me give you a little key or a guide, and this is just going to be like plugging in pieces of a puzzle. An equation is just y equals mx plus b. Okay? So your m is going to be a number multiplied by x, and your b is going to be some number by itself. Your m is your slope. And your b is your y-intercept. All you got to do is look at what the number is.
Yeah.
Not too bad, guys.
What's the end? Where did you get the end from?
We learned about it yesterday in class. If you go back and watch the video, it'll make a whole lot more sense. This is just the way that mathematicians back in the day decided to name equations. So the m and the b, I'm going to be so honest, I have no idea where they came from. They just gave them to us, and I gave them to you. So we use this to graph an equation and make a line on our graph. And I'm going to show you what that is on the next page. Those are our bonus questions. So what would you write for slope here? 2. Oh, no, actually. Just 2. So x is not part of the slope. Just the number. Just the number. So 2 is our slope. 3 is our y-intercept.
Don't we do the plus though?
You don't have to write the plus. That just means it's a positive 3. Just like if we had a minus, it would be a negative 3. So we can just say 3. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay, let's move on to page 4. These are our bonus questions. You can earn up to 6 bonus points here. So you guys already are basically being given 4 free bonus points, because 4 of the bonus points are for telling me what the slope is and the y-intercept is. You just did that on the last page. So why don't we go through and do that real quick. What number is next to x on the first one? 3/4. So that's our slope, 3/4. Yeah, and our y-intercept is -2. Now, because these are bonus, there is an added extra thing I need you to do for the y-intercept to get a full bonus point. You'll get half a point if you give me -2. You'll get a full bonus point if you can write the y-intercept as a coordinate. So let me show you how to do that again, unless you already know. Huh? So let me show you, and I'll tell you how to do that. So whenever we say our y-intercept is -2, what does that mean?
It intersected the y line.
Yes, that just means that our line is touching the y-axis at -2 in the y direction. So I would start at 0 in the middle of my graph, and I'd go down -1, -2. So just like you did in the previous problems, name this coordinate. What would this coordinate be?
-2.
-2 for the y. What about the x? What point is this here?
0.
0. Your y-intercept is 0, -2. 0, -2. So you'll get the full bonus points if you write it as a coordinate. 0, -2. That's your starting point. Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So now that we have a starting point, you guys remind me, what are we going to use to find a second point? Because we just need 2 points to make a line. Yes, we're going to use our slope. Our slope is also rise. We call it rise over run. Yeah, and to remind ourselves, I'm going to draw some arrows. Our rise is how far up or down we go, depending on if it's positive or negative. Our run, we're always going to the right. So whenever I use my slope to find a next point, where am I starting from when I count? Yes, I'm starting from that y-intercept from -2. Do not start counting from 0 again. You want to start from the first point. So if 3 over 4 is our rise over our run, what is my rise? 3. It's the number on top. So that means I'm going to go up 3. So I'll start here, and I'm going to use blue to show you because it's wise.
And you always start at the intercept, right?
Always start at the intercept, yes. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. This is my rise. You don't have to label that it's your rise. I'm just labeling it for you so you can visually see what we did. 3. And once we have risen 3, how many are we running? 4. My slope is 3 over 4. My bottom number's 4. Run is on the bottom. That means I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my run. And where does my second point go? Right there, right where I ended my run. Perfect. So remember, the slope of a line is just telling us how steep it is. It just tells us how steep it is. So we can now that we know how steep, it's 3/4, we can connect the dots and we just graphed a line. There you go. That's your line. So you will have an opportunity to earn a bonus point for the correct slope, a bonus point for the correct y-intercept, and another bonus point for your line being drawn correctly. So that's 3 points just on this one problem. And you guys tell me when you're ready for the next one. All right. Y'all ready? Okay. Next problem. Y equals -2/3 x plus 5. What is my slope?
-2/3.
Yes, -2/3. And what is my y-intercept? 5.
I put +5 there.
That's fine. It's 5. And what would my y-intercept be as a coordinate? 0, 5. All you have to do is take your number for your y-intercept, put it in the y spot of your coordinate, 5. And the other number 0. Your x is 0. Remember, this is the
First gotta
x.
go with 5, right? On Y?
Yep, that's right. So let's go ahead and do that. Our first step to graphing a line is to graph the y-intercept. So 0, 5, we would go over 0 in the x direction. So that means we're staying on the y-axis. And we're going up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. Hello.
I have a question to ask
Yeah.
you later, but I see that you're busy.
Okay. We're almost done. We're on our last problem.
You are fine.
You want me to just run over there when we're done?
Yeah, I just want to ask about extra credit.
Okay.
How we enter it into the grade.
You got it. All right, so we've got our y-intercept. What do we do next?
I rise and run.
Yeah, we're going to use our rise over run to find the next point. So our rise is,
-2.
yep, -2, and our run is 3. So whenever we rise -2, what direction do we go?
Down.
Down. From where? Where do we start?
Point.
Yes, from the point we just plotted. Do not go back to 0. You're going to get the wrong line. Start from 0, 5, that y-intercept.
Go down -2.
Yeah, go down 2 since it's a -2. So rise -2. And where do we go from there? Over how many? 3. Our run is 3. Okay, and where's the next point go? Right there at the end of the run. Good. Now we just got to connect the dots. And you won't be able to get your full points if you don't put arrows on the end of your line. That is very important. Your line has to have arrows on the end too. So don't forget that last step. Okay guys, that's your final tomorrow. That's it. Now, I'll leave this up here for a second, but while we're finishing up, it looks like we still have a full 20 minutes left of class time if we need to use it. If you feel good, if you think this has been a great review and you're ready, then you are free to go. If you would like to review any part of this, you're welcome to stay, and I'm happy to go over some things with you. If not, everything we've ever gone over can be found on YouTube, so you can find anything you need on there. Yeah, that's it, guys.
It's open season on this tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
I'm done. I'm getting it.
All right, I'm gonna end this recording.